world where challenges can seem insurmountable, the American Society of Diagnostic and Interventional Nephrology, ASDIN, stands as a beacon of hope and resilience, celebrating 2 decades of transforming lives and shaping the landscape of vascular access care. ASDIN has brought together brilliant minds and compassionate hearts to pioneer advancement in the field. It's more than an organization. It's a force of nature, embodying innovation and collaboration. Beyond accolades, ASDIN's story is one of triumph over adversity, of breakthroughs fueled by relentless passion. It's a story of individuals united by shared purpose, improving the lives of those affected by kidney disease.
When I first started out doing procedures on vascular access, I really had no idea, nor did I have a concept of the subspecialty of interventional nephrology. I was just interested in doing something different. I was making dialysis rounds and I would see patients with problems with their vascular access, and I absolutely knew nothing about what was going on. It was like a black box. And then I saw an article that was published in the mid-1980s where they reported a series of several cases, and I think they did only 2 or 3 vascular access cases where they were doing venous angioplasty, and that kind of piqued my interest. And I started doing angiograms on dialysis patients by leaving their dialysis needles in place and taking them across the hall to our x-ray department and just shooting some x-ray dye in and having the technician take a shot. And by timing that, I was able to see what was going on, and I was seeing stenotic lesions.
Well, I think really it started because of Dr. Bethard. He was recruited by the ASN to run, some courses, sort of loosely, I guess, around the topic of interventional nephrology. We really didn't have that term then, but he ran a course, and so he had asked me to come and talk about ultrasound, and Dr. Ash about peritoneal dialysis catheters, and Dr. Orr. So that's how it got started. We were all faculty on this course.
It was the clinical nephrology meetings in Orlando, Florida, and I had gone down with the Sinai team, which consisted of Joe Vasilati and Vicky Titorescu, and we went to these meetings. And I walked into this room, the grand ballroom, and it was totally full, and it was dark, and I was at the back, and there was, 1,000 people in there, and I walk in, and I see this dude up on the stage with a little bit of a twang, showing pictures that were, to me, a snowstorm. Some guy was up here saying, "This is my portable C-arm, and I'm taking pictures, and I'm doing interventions on these dialysis patients." And I said, "What? Those are terrible. Who is this quack? This is nuts." And I turned around and walked out of the lecture. Turned out to be Jerry Bethard. Now, you can fast forward 3 years later to the first annual scientific meeting of ASDIN in Arizona that I was a part of. And then I formally met Gerald Bethard.
I was very privileged to be there right at the formation of ASDIN. I still remember I was a much younger nephrologist with a lot more hair when I was with a number of other people in a room, and sitting on the podium we had Jerry Bethard and Steve Ash, Chuck O'Neill, Jack Work, and that was when I really heard from them in a very inspirational manner about why they wanted to set up ASDIN and about how it could impact and really change dialysis access care for our patients.
But the original idea was not ASDIN, it was Society of Interventional Nephrologists, SIN. And we thought SIN might be a really good name for this organization, and we laughed about that a little bit. And actually, that was going to be the name of it until we found out there was a Society of Intervention of Italian Nephrologists, Society of Italian Nephrologists. So we were preempted on actually getting that, but I think SIN would have been really good.
Quite frankly, I was more concerned, we all were, about the present. If you look at all the things that a society needs, we didn't have any of them. We didn't have constitution, bylaws, didn't have an administrator, didn't have a journal, certainly didn't have an editorial staff, didn't have anything like certification or accreditation, practice standards, and educational materials. So it was a huge endeavor we were facing to put this whole thing together, and then finally in 2004 run our own scientific meeting.
And about this time, we were at a meeting, and as I remember, we were in Memphis, and Jack Work, Steve Ash, and Chuck O'Neill, and myself were in a bar one evening, having a few drinks, and we began to talk about forming a society. And we decided that we would do that. And so we went home. I wrote the Constitution for the society. We contacted all the people that we knew that were interested, and we had a meeting.
Really, the first meeting was actually a full day Saturday and a half day Sunday. It was designed for the interventionists who had no coverage and needed to be back to work, so they could show up late Friday night and leave Sunday afternoon. And that's still sort of the model, with some earlier programs like ultrasound or other things that we decide to add from time to time.
Well, that was a very exciting time. In the 1990s, many of us were beginning to dabble in these procedures, kind of learning them on the fly in different ways, most of them directly or indirectly from Jerry and Austin. But there was no structure, there was really no cohesion. There was a certain sense that we were all doing something new and interesting and exciting, but it just hadn't come together as a unit. But in 2000, when Jerry and the others had this concept of the ASDIN, it planted that seed. And so when the group came together, it was really very exciting. I can remember the very first meeting that we had, which, like I said, I believe was in Philadelphia in 2002. And there were maybe 50 or 70 people there, but there was an electricity in the room because we realized that something new, something different was happening. It was a transformational. Instead of being just a bunch of fragmented cowboys, so to speak, doing our thing everywhere, it was a group that came together with a unified purpose, with a concept that we could develop this field, that we could learn, that we could teach, that we could grow. And it was really exciting, and that really set it off on fire, and it blossomed from that start.
I remember starting with ASDIN when there were only 40 people. We had a small meeting room. It was much more about connecting with people doing the same things that you did. And it was a support group, really. There were 40 people total. Of that, there were 3 women. And it was so wonderful to know that somebody else was doing what I did, because you were isolated unless you had this group, which was just an answer to prayer practically, that you had someone else next to you that understood what you were doing.
Since its modest inception, ASDIN's aspiration to enact a change has blossomed into a worldwide powerhouse in vascular access care. The unwavering commitment of its founding fathers and early members laid the foundation for a future they only dreamed of. A future where ASDIN is synonymous with innovative strides and collaborative endeavors. Listen to their inspiring reflections on whether they ever imagined ASDIN achieving such an extraordinary success.
The answer is not just 100%, it's 200%. I knew because the commitment that I saw in that room that day, it was an afternoon session, I still remember, the vision that those leaders shared, the commitment for them to encourage the heart of others, to enable others to achieve, their commitment to challenge the status quo, and their ability to model the way for some of the things that I saw. And I knew back then that these leaders and this society is here to stay.
Obviously, we're meeting a lot of pushbacks by other societies such as the vascular surgery and IR, and kind of they were downplaying the potential impact of interventional nephrologists. And we, as a group of interventionalists who were very highly committed and very enthusiastic about what we were trying to do at the time, proved everyone that no, we are here to stay and we are here to grow.
I knew it would be an outstanding success. How did I know? I didn't have a crystal ball. But what I did know is for my husband, having him in the hospital 5 days for a thrombectomy was not a good thing, and that we could do better, and we did.
ASDIN had a deeply inspirational and impactful effect on many lives, offering not just a professional growth, but also a strong sense of community. It has provided lifelong connections and mentorships, shaping careers and fostering personal fulfillment. Take a listen to the powerful testimonies of those whose lives have been transformed by ASDIN.
ASDIN actually validated all of these types of feelings that, yeah, this is really incredibly important work. It has an impact on particular patients, and it has an impact on our national health, and it has an impact on Medicare dollars, and I think there's not that viewpoint in vascular surgery. So to be in a place where you feel validated and, to say, your career means something, to me is a really big deal.
It's indescribable. It's just wonderful. I can't imagine having had this career and not had the support, the collaboration of the ASDIN and develop all the friendships that I've made over the 20 years. I consider the friends I've made with the ASDIN are really some of the best and most lasting friends in my career, because we're all still here.
ASDIN and interventional nephrology have been one of the two kind of primary shaping forces in my life, and have been a source of tremendous friendships that I'll value as long as I live.
I have, and I think one of the greatest things for me is I have friends all over the United States and have friends in a number of other countries. And I've been able to share my viewpoints and the knowledge that I have with people in a very broad base. And it has caused me, I can remember, for example, when I first started going to ASN, I felt isolated. I would be at ASN for the entire period and maybe see 2 people that I knew that I would speak to. And now when I go to ASN meetings, the big event for me is to visit all my friends and acquaintances that I enjoy seeing and talking with so much. So it's been a very important aspect of my life. It's given me something to do that is interesting, is gratifying. I'm still involved. All my peer group are either retired or dead, and I'm still working. And I don't think I would be able to do that if I had not become involved in what became referred to as interventional nephrology.
As we conclude this journey through time, let us celebrate not just milestones and accomplishments, but countless lives touched, futures brightened, and legacies forged. For in the heart of ASDIN lies the promise of a better tomorrow, where every clinician, every patient can dare to dream of a life filled with health, happiness, and hope.
Yo, listen up. Let me drop some lines, giving props to a society that truly shines. ASDIN, yo, they're on the scene. Interventional nephrologists living the dream. From the front lines of medicine they emerge, solving problems, no need to urge. Their dedication is truly profound, changing lives with each patient they have found. So here's a shout out to ASDIN, yo, for being the real MVPs in the show. Thanks for all you do. Keep on rising high, wishing you success as you reach for the sky.